Hey guys, and welcome to the Business Mind Show. We have a great show lined up for you today. Thanks to my main man, Adrian Ford. He picked some great topics. I'm Christopher Shaw, the founder of AspotOnline.com, and I'm going to let my partners in crime introduce themselves before we get started. Then we'll get right into our topic today.
I'm Dr. Brenda Joy Atchison, and I am with Platinum Career Coaching Group, and I'm here to help you find your purpose, whether it's business or otherwise, so that you can serve in the way you were meant to serve. Give it to you, Adrian. Your mic is muted.
Sorry, my bad. And I'm Adrian Ford, founder of Head of Household, helping you take what you love to do and give back to the community. Today's going to be an exciting topic. Today we're going to be discussing realistic expectations as the consumer, real expectations as the owner, and then we're just going to talk a little bit about what how the world kind of views expectations as it pertains to business and what people should or shouldn't be doing for you as it pertains to your business.
Oh man, I love. I've been waiting for this topic. We may go down some rabbit holes.
You ain't lying.
A couple of times, but I think that we're going to come out on the other end shiny and clean, right? Because we're going to unload everything, unload all the dirt. And like I said, my boy Adrian is really good at picking these topics. He takes a lot of time and really picks topics that he feels that are not only going to impact us, but also impact you guys as an audience. So without further ado, I'll let him start with the first one is what? Consumer expectations. What is consumer expectations?
The best way to put it, we can just jump right into it. The best thing is whenever you're working with a consumer, or as a consumer, I should say, your expectations, especially when you're a fresh new startup, should really just for you to get out and start experiencing entrepreneurship. It should really just to have a starting point so you know where you want to grow from. There's been so many entrepreneurs that we work with that when they come in, their expectation is they launched their startup on Monday and they want to be millionaires by Friday.
Yeah.
And we do everything from build them a website. We've given them a show. We've plugged in their social media. And on every single aspect of those, it's, we give you a website. Oh, well, my website should be doing, $50,000 in sales a day. And they just launched yesterday. And we launched my social media on Monday. How come I don't have 2 million followers? Chris, what are you guys doing? And then even when we give them the show, it's all right, well, it's going to take us about 4 months before we do our first show because we want to make sure our viewers are getting everything right. You don't have viewers right now.
Yeah.
Your focus should just be to go and to have a starting place so you know so you're laying a foundation so you know what to build on. And so when you're coming in with those expectations for it to be so large, you're going to fizzle out quick.
Yes.
Because you have this unrealistic view of what success looks like and how you get to success.
And I love how you said.
With that.
I love how you point that out. And mind you, before we do all this, we set some expectations for them. So, but sometimes the expectations are okay. I understand that, and then they're still stuck on this mindset, or they've been watching social media, been watching some influencer for so long, and that's all they picture. They're not looking at all the behind the scene things, and we're trying to tell them, hey, this, and this, and then that comes up, and then Adrian's the one always talking to them, hey, we told you that, so. But
and that's one of the things too is that you look at I would almost be inclined to say that they throw that term around YouTuber loosely because them guys put a lot into being YouTubers. It's a lot of work. It's a lot of work. It's a lot around the clock. But what makes them great at it is that they're coming in with small expectations. Their only expectation is every day I'm going to knock out this. Every day I'm just going to try to conquer this. I don't think any of them started thinking that the first day that I start, I'm going to be this worldwide household name that's making $1 million off of YouTube. You really just wanted to go and start somewhere and see what worked for you and see what didn't.
Man, and I'm a piggyback on that and say that I know they just passionate about something, or even just want to be silly. A lot of these people just silly, just to put stuff out there. They're just like no expectations. It's like I'm just gonna put this silly stuff out there, and then it goes viral. Then they get a following, and now there's actually agencies now that manage those guys. So they manage their career, the YouTubers, their influencers. So you get just like a sports agent, you know. But I'm pretty sure that, like Adrian was saying, none of them came into that with that expectations. And that's kind of like even with this show. We came in here, we just want to express our voice and just let you, you know, we had some things that we wanted to share from our experiences to pass on. And that's what we want to do. We have a voice and we have an avenue to get it out there. And that's especially in the beginning, that's exactly what most people should have expectations even for their business. You know, now you should set goals, but your expectation should be just value. How much value can I offer my the people coming to get my service? That's what it should be, especially in the beginning. Come on. Yeah.
Yeah, I think a lot of people have watched so much television, they think you throw a bunch of things against the wall and whatever sticks you go with. And that works for some people, but that's what I call an accidental entrepreneur. I don't think that those people, I think they have an entrepreneurial spirit, but I don't think that they necessarily possess the qualities of an entrepreneur. Because really behind the scenes, you have to put in a lot of work. We talk about this over and over. Everybody wants people to be an overnight success. Most entrepreneurs are not overnight successes.
No.
Even if they're just honing their skills, they've been working on this skill for quite some time.
Quite
So
some time.
what they need to be sustainable is what we all got in this business to offer. All of us have a significant background in
Yes.
business, and we want to share it. We want to make sure that you don't have to make the mistakes that we made, that we
Yes.
can give you some positive nuggets on these shows that you can follow up on later. But I think until you really get into that zone where you're not just trying to be popular, you're really trying to build a business with a legacy, or for whatever reason you're building it. And I think to do that, you can have high expectations, but you have to manage those expectations.
Yes.
And that's exactly where I was going to lead to next. Is that remember when you come to an agency or a firm like the Infinity firm, remember part of what you're paying for is for us to help you manage your expectations. So we're not going to we're not going to build this house of cards for you just for let the first gust of wind come through and blow you over. So you got to
Yeah.
listen when we're doing that for you. And whether that's the Infinity firm or any other firm that, that the listeners that go to, is remember part of what you're paying for is to help manage your expectations,
Exactly.
because you don't know what you're going into. You don't know what to expect. That's why you're
Mhm.
here for the help.
And part of that,
Ne-
Adrian, part of that managing your expectations is something that I experienced. Uh, you need someone, you have an idea and you know where you want it to go, but getting from point A to point B is a lot more difficult than most people think. You need
Mhm.
Yeah,
someone to help you articulate what it is you're trying to do. That's where professionals come in. Uh,
yeah,
we think we want, and I often hear Adrian, and for that matter, I hear Chris say the same thing, that when you come in, you want this great big website because you think you're going to put it up and it's going to do all this business. I was one of those people.
yeah,
So learning that you can put up a website and it's not like it was in the Shoeless Joe Jackson movie where they said if you build it, they'll come. You
Yeah.
can build it all you want to. They may or may not come. It
yeah.
depends on whether you're offering something of value to them and that you believe it's a value, not just
Mhm.
Yeah,
them. Because if you don't believe you're giving somebody a value, it's hard for them to think they're getting the value.
And
absolutely.
I'll even add on to that too, from the standpoint of the website is just a component. You know, it's a component tool that needs to be used, just like your arm or something.
Yeah,
If your arm is missing, you're going to be less efficient, but the body can still go. But you'll be even more efficient if you know how to use your arm the right way.
Yeah,
Um,
absolutely.
and and like I said, Dr. Atchison, a lot of people came with those same expectations, but we're also happy to. I know we've been harking on being expectations, but there's also good expectations, right, Adrian?
Yeah,
In there,
yeah,
good expectations, and when you meet those good expectations as well, what are
yes.
some good expectations that some people set that help them along the way?
I think to identify good expectations is to be one of the same as to be one the same as identifying your wins.
Yes, I
So a
agree.
good expectation would be to set manageable goals for yourself, like getting your website to a launch date, like showing up on your show for X amount of times, weeks in a row without missing one and being consistent. These are all things that are expectations that uh, don't cost money to do. They don't, you can manage them yourself, and they make you feel good and empowered throughout your process. So
Yes.
when you're able to manage your expectations at a reasonable level, um, it really helps fuel you as you begin to grow and to branch out. The other thing it does is that uh, it makes your mind more open, because now that you haven't gone out to these grandiose ideas, you're able to look at these little movements and these little maneuvers as they come as great stepping stones for you. That all comes from managing expectations the right way, because now you're knowing what to look for that will boost you, rather than trying to skip a few steps and get to your finish line.
Mhm.
Oh,
Going
I
back to
told. Okay, okay. Go, Doc.
going back to what Chris has said earlier about good expectations, I think that my expectations are broader and less tangible, but they're nonetheless I want to say effective. One of my expectations is I expect to walk in my purpose. I expect to find passion in walking in that purpose. I
Right.
expect to be able to use my gift to help other people. Now,
Mhm.
Adrian has the concrete side of how do you get to use those gifts in a way that it serves you and it serves society as well.
Right.
Oh,
And
that's.
that's kind of how you learn to look at it. Whereas, on a grandiose scale, we want to serve everyone.
Hmm.
I wake up every day, and this is constantly. Uh, I mean, we got to a point where Chris would start our meetings with it and end our meetings with it is, hey, we're gonna change the world.
Mhm.
So my grandiose scale is we're gonna change the world. But my managed expectation is, but I'm okay if today if we just change one person.
Mhm.
It's managing those expectations.
Hmm.
And those the way Adrian was saying that you do want to change the world, and but you got to like take a bite at a time. And with that being said, that actually sets you up for real wins, the way Adrian put it, versus if you don't change the world in a year, if you don't change the world, if you don't change your whole life, but you never pay attention to those little things that you were doing, you
Hmm.
actually lost. So the way
Yeah.
Adrian was putting it actually builds your confidence. It builds your stamina, your steadfastness. It just helps you along the way. It actually builds those things to where you actually can look back in hindsight and see, whoa, I didn't change the world, but my neighborhood, my inner circle, the people around me are so much better than the way they came. And those are really good expectations to have, and really know where you're at. And then Dr. Ashton took it deep. You took it deep on that. But that's why she's here. She's like the intellectual mind. She's gonna dig in deep. And yeah, she is. I just made that up too. You're the intellectual mind. Uh, but no, man, you're right, Adrian. I love how you put that, man. The little bites at a time, the little wins
Yeah.
help you with the managed expectations. Okay,
Yeah, and
cool.
part of that, how it's old cliche, the journey of 1,000 miles begins
Oh
with
yeah,
one
one
step.
step.
The same
Mm-hmm.
thing is true about your goals. You can't accomplish your goal without taking the first step
Yes,
towards those goals.
I totally
Right.
And I
agree.
love it that we have a pathway for that.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, and keeping with accountability, because we went on the consumer, we'll on the owner side of realistic expectations, it is also reminding yourself that, remember, they came to you. So you
Yes.
can't expect them to know everything. You can't expect them to know what you know. You from the owner standpoint, you can't get frustrated that, oh, how come they don't know this? Well, that's the whole reason why we came to you. So there's an expectation from the owner standpoint as well that you have to have in order to work, with your public.
And
That's
then I
true.
think it's good too that when you sit down with a client, and we can get feedback from the audience on this, that when
Right.
you sit down with a client, uh, when you make these recommendations, they come with uh, a whole array of knowledge behind them. You're just not
Right.
popping off the top of your head and say, "Well, this is where I think you ought to start." These are tried and true methods of getting to where you want to go. That we've tried before, so we know what can work and what usually doesn't. So you get the
Hmm.
benefit of years of experience and mountains of knowledge behind those recommendations that you get on this should be your first step.
I
Yeah.
totally
And,
agree.
and I agree with that. For me, and we can go around and voice our own. But for me, as an owner, when you come into the Infinity firm, um, my expectation that I've learned to have as an expectation is for you to just be yourself. I
Yes.
don't I don't I
Uh,
don't want you to come in. I'm not expecting you to come in and pretend to be bigger than what you are,
I,
or
I knew you were
pretend
gonna
to
go there.
know. I know, and pretend to know everything that I know. Else it defeats the purpose of me being here. My expectation is for you to come in as you are, be yourself, because it should be your expectation for me to meet you where you're at.
Mhm. And
And
even
Because
throw
so
authenticity is everything.
and
everything,
even throw in some humbleness, some humility too.
yeah,
Because if whenever you're dealing with somebody, now you hired a professional to help you, and then you tell them half the story, and then we're thinking that's the whole picture. And then when we paint this whole picture in putting it all together, and then when something comes out of nowhere, and you say, "Oh, that didn't come out of nowhere. That was always there." It's like, oh no, you got to tell us that from the beginning, so we can see. But I totally agree with Adrian. A lot of people do try to put on these facades that you don't really need to go through, and it really only hurts you, especially in entrepreneurship, because
right.
it's entrepreneurship is something that is how can I put it? It'll chew you up and spit you out if you're not being real. You know what I mean? That's what I'm. It is. You won't last. I'll put it that
Well,
way if you're not being who you are. So yeah, I knew you were gonna go there, and I loved it. I was
It's
I, I was
akin
patting you on the back,
it's
huh?
akin to when you go to the doctor and the doctor asks you something,
Yes.
you only tell them part of the story because you don't want to tell them the whole story.
Or you're
So they
embarrassed.
make your right. So they make their recommendation for your medication based on a lot of what you told them. And if
Yes.
yeah.
that's not true, then you can't expect it to be effective if they're
Yes.
treating something that they don't have the whole picture as
And
to what
then
they're treating.
and then when they give you the wrong medicine, you try to sue them for malpractice.
They should
I mean,
sue you for
and in a
malpractice.
way, that's a version of entrepreneurship that happens, right? We don't get super malpractice,
Yeah.
but when you don't tell us the whole story, then you get mad that your product didn't come out the way you wanted to,
Hmm.
and then it's only after that we find out, oh, well, I want, well, I really, my why really is this. Oh, that's the first time I've heard that, and we done been launched, we
Yeah.
done been put money behind the social media, we done did all that, and
Hmm.
so uh, as an owner, uh, I've learned to I've learned to realize that when a client comes in, regardless of whatever you're coming in with or for, no matter how much knowledge you have, you can be an expert in your field. Nevertheless, you still walk through my door. And it is still my job, first and foremost, to manage your expectations.
I agree.
So,
And
so
this
absolutely.
and the clearer the better on both sides. So
Oh, yeah,
this is
absolutely.
this is actually a show, and this type of topic is one that I wish someone would told me a long time ago. Because like Dr. Atchison said, she had. Is that me? Hold on. Is Dr. Atchison, like she said, she had some unrealistic expectations in certain areas, and so did I, man. you think that if you put a good quality product out there, they're just going to come, and and you don't put all this work into stuff, and it just doesn't work like that.
Well, you look at how you look at. I mean, you perfect example for this topic is especially consumer to owner conversation is you look at a a member of a congregation looking for a church.
Oh, there we go. Good analogy.
And you absolutely, I think we all forget this sometimes. You look at these mega churches and forget, we on the consumer side, you're like, oh man, I love this church. I love Potter's House. I love Westside Baptist. This is beautiful in here. But when you get into Dr. Atchison's seat, you're like, but I remember when we started in the living room.
Mm-hmm.
I remember when there wasn't nothing but four of us in here. Three of them wasn't my kids. Like,
and they had to come.
And they had to come. So, and I still sent the offering plate around. So, it's one of those things where I don't think too many pastors, unless you inherit it, I don't think too many of them expected their church to be mega. That's the goals I wanted to serve.
Mm-hmm.
I wanted to spread this gospel, and then it just we outgrew the living room, then we outgrew the storefront, then we outgrew, but it's because of those expectations.
Yeah, and you that's so true what you said about your purpose and your gift. All of that goes into you being you're not using your gift if you're not serving with that gift. I mean,
Absolutely.
people so often they want to serve a certain congregation or they want to be the top of a certain business. But if the Bible even says the first shall be last and the last shall be first, you got to start as a servant and be
Yeah.
willing to do whatever it is that business needs. And at some point you may not have to do that anymore. But
Yeah.
as Chris says, serving with humility, that's where that humility comes in. The
Well, and
willingness
and
to
and
do whatever it takes.
and not to go completely left, but one question that I always ask people, and it's I never really ask as a part of business. It's just always for my own clarification because I know it was one of those questions that it not only changed my life because I was able to identify my why, but once I was able to answer this question that I'm getting ready to ask, uh, it also helped me manage expectations from that point on because I knew what the purpose was. So
Hmm.
I always ask individuals that I meet, even my own family, is what is it that God's called you to do? And it's sometimes shocking to me because you can ask somebody that is 20, 30 years my senior, and they're like, what's God called you to do? Oh, well, I'm an electrician. I've been an electrician my entire life. Yeah, that's what you do. I know what you do, but what is that's your job? What has God called you to do? What is your all around purpose?
Hmm.
Because once you figure out your purpose and you've identified your why, well, expectations begin to line up because now your expectations begin to align with the purpose
Hmm.
and not with, well, this is what I do, so I'm expecting this.
Yeah.
So
And I think that's why so many people are so dissatisfied with their work
yeah.
because when they're doing a job, and a lot of times they're doing it because it pays them a salary and it keeps them in a safe zone. But if God
Mm-hmm.
has called you to be somewhere else, you'll never be happy doing that. You'll go to work and you'll be happy with the money you would make. You'll be happy with the lifestyle it affords you. But not walking in your purpose is never gonna satisfy you the way walking in your purpose will.
I
And,
mean, and that's where that question is never late because you see somebody that has been in this career for 20, 30 years and they're miserable. And you ask them this very same question of, well, what did you expect? What were your
Mhm.
expectations? Well, I thought after doing it this long, I thought, I'd have some joy and some love in it. Well, you had the wrong expectation because it's not what you're called to do. It's what you're good at.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
I'm
that's how
good
you
at
pay the
basketball.
bills.
You don't see me in the NBA. I'm real good. But that's not what God
Okay.
called me to do. That wasn't it.
I
I
don't
wasn't I
know.
wasn't a 5'10" dude that did not the building.
Hey, also just to piggyback on both of y'all, that's my new term too. Just to piggyback, I say that so. But Um, both of y'all hit very valid points, and it made me think about how people associate what they do with who they are. And that's
Yeah.
totally not, it's like you hear these great stories of athletes, and most of the times we think about their parents being either some type of athlete that didn't make it or something, but a lot of times they're like janitors or single mothers that just encourage them and that saw that, hold up, okay, I need to take care of this young man and push this stuff into him, and that's who I am in order to give back to them. You know what I mean? And so they saw past just like what they're doing to make a living. They saw past, the things that even their fears and their insecurities, because in order to really push into somebody else, you can't have a pessimistic mindset. You got to have even if you don't like your job, even if you don't like where you are in life, and you're still willing to pour into somebody else, that means that you face that fear of your shortcomings to really push into other people. And but sometimes, so often, like you two said, that we associate who we are, like you said with the electrician. He associated who he was with as being an electrician, and you're so much more than that. You can do so many things, even just being whatever you do at a job. Maybe God put you there to serve. Maybe there's somebody there to serve, and you're so worried about not getting somewhere in life, you're not really focused on what you're really put there to do, just like Adrian said. So I was thinking about that too, because that's so true. You hear so many people like that. What is your purpose? And then they say, well, I do this. Like, man, those are two different things. Totally different things.
And one thing that doesn't get said, because I feel like we're edging the line a little bit, and so I'll go ahead and just leap over it.
Okay.
Another part of realistic expectations.
This our show, Adrian.
Has everything to do with work ethic.
Yeah.
It's just even keeping with the examples that we've used. Some people get down when you ask them, well, what do you want to do? Well, I want to be a doctor. I want to make it to the NBA. I want to do this. Well, hold on. You need to have realistic expectations. The middle part, the part that's missing from that, because without the middle piece, that's more derogatory and it's hurtful. But the middle piece is, well, you want to make it to the NBA, but I've never seen you out there practicing. It started raining. As soon as you feel one raindrop, you stop shooting you inside.
I can't practice today.
You want to be a doctor, but realistically, you don't like studying. You don't like research. You're not willing to put the work in. So sometimes putting realistic expectations on people is not about tearing them down. It's about highlighting the fact that if you indeed want that, then there's a work ethic that goes with having realistic expectations.
And a lot of times when you drill down, as you always talk about the why, when you drill down into the why, by the time you get to that fifth why, you find out that that's really not they don't want to do it because they feel like that's their purpose. They feel like it is a means to an end.
Mm-hmm.
And when you're talking about like, oh yeah, that's the only job I can think of that I can make the kind of money that I need to make, or to give me the kind of freedom that I want. So the more you talk to people and say, well, why do you want to do that? And you say, I want to make money. Well, why do you want to make money? Because you make money doing anything.
Yeah, you can.
So it's not your purpose can never be about the money. The money has to be a byproduct of your passion.
That's so true. And y'all, that's why I like talking to y'all. You bring so much things up that make me think. And Doc, what you're saying, a lot of the times when you ask people their why or their purpose, even especially in entrepreneurship, or they want to be an entrepreneur, they don't see their why making money. They don't see it making money. They see it helping somebody. This could help somebody, but it's not making me no money. So it's like, that's a fear. That's a fear you got to overcome. Now, do you want to live your why and be fulfilled, or are you worried about money? And I think sometimes, as far as us three in the business minds, that's kind of what we're trying to do too. We're trying to get your why and try to monetize it, right? But like Adrian said, that's going to take more work than if you went and just sat at a job. That's going to take more work. It's going to be a different type of work that you're probably not used to, and you got to do things that are just necessary for it to happen.
When I tell you, when I got into social work, So let's start with this. When I got into social work, I had unrealistic expectations.
That makes
And
three of
I
us,
mean,
son.
like I came in with a cape on. I'm gonna save everyone. I'm gonna get everyone clean. I'm gonna get introduced to every mental health person, and I'm gonna cure them. Ain't gonna be no bipolar. Ain't gonna be. I'm fixing everybody.
That's
And
what.
everything.
Man,
Everybody needs that.
when I tell you that social work is undefeated, like it's undefeated. Like it's just
Yeah.
that's my expectations were so self-serving and so grandiose. It was all about me, about what I was gonna do, and never about what me coming in, what they were gonna need from me.
Hmm.
And when
And
I
one,
learned that and begin to branch out on my own and create my own programs and begin serving the community, it's hard. It's hard. And the very first thing I had to do was to have realistic expectations of not only what my program was going to be able to do in the amount of time that I wanted to do, but I also had to be very realistic about how people were going to receive my program because of who I was choosing to serve in a time where men aren't so favorable.
hmm
So I had to be very realistic about these are some things I might hear. This is what might happen. I might get a lot of doors slammed in my face.
Hmm.
And so
and plus,
I was not willing to set myself up for failure that way. Else that was going to just diminish my why and have me lose sight of it.
hmm
Yeah, it would have got to you in a
Yeah,
way that you didn't
yeah,
foresee, and that can be crushing. That can be
absolutely.
crushing. That's a whole nother show. That can be
That's the
crushing.
first thing.
It really is, because that's one of the biggest, that's one of the scariest things that I see for new entrepreneurs when they come in. And you and I, we love energy, we love
Oh yeah.
excitement. I love when you come in there on fire.
Hmm.
But it scares me sometimes because you put yourself up so high on this pedestal. I'm like, ooh, that fall is gonna be it's gonna be a deep fall when you get knocked off that. And I hope you get back up.
Yeah.
And so, we try to gently, help you manage your expectations, make them real realistic, make you conquer the small stuff before you get to the big stuff. God trusts you with little, He'll trust you with much. So it's trying to get you to understand that. But sometimes, man, especially these young ones, they be so hyped that they don't hear nothing, and you like, hey, slow down. There's a brick wall on the other side of that cloud that you floating through. Like, just
Yeah.
just calm
And
down.
and that brick wall, like you said, is never lost. So
Undefeated,
it's
undefeated.
you run into that. But I tell you this, you can take a loss and bounce back. But
Yeah.
it
Oh, you're gonna
but
bounce off that wall. It's
yeah,
just
it's gonna hurt. And maybe
And you know
sometimes that's what we need.
what helps
Huh?
you too is every day. Entrepreneurship is a choice every day. I keep
Oh, I like that.
on my vision board. It's a choice every day. When you wake up and you said, I'm an entrepreneur, why did I choose it? Why do I want to be this? And every time you have to choose entrepreneurship. If that's what you want, even if you have to supplement it in other ways. But if
Hmm.
entrepreneurship is what you want, you have to choose it every day.
yeah.
Man, that's real.
You got
You
to
know, the
play
Bible
chess,
says
not
I die
checkers.
daily. That's
Yeah,
why
yeah.
I die daily.
Daily.
Deny
Hmm.
yourself, pick up the cross, and follow me daily. Yes, you're
Well,
exactly right.
It's a
and
choice
and
every day.
so and transition to our third bullet point. I think it's very easy to get lost in the world's perception of expectations,
Hmm.
with the world we live in right now, because what's the average routine. The average routine is what you wake up, what, maybe 5 6 a.m., wake up at 6 a.m., and what do? We went to bed on fire, like, okay, my expectations are clear. And then at 6:30 a.m., I turned on Instagram. Oh, I want that, and I want that, and they doing this. It looked like they doing the same thing we doing, and I want that. Well, what you didn't see is behind the scenes.
Yeah. And
There's some years behind the scene. There's some
Hmm.
grinding. There were a lot of no's behind the scenes.
yeah. And
So
I and I'm gonna add this. They got up at 4. So
I heard I heard a
That wasn't me.
I can't remember who it was. I think it was some rapper or some basketball player, but he plays on the West Coast, and he was saying that they asked him what time you get up. He said, "Well, I get up at what he said. I get up at 3 my time." And he goes, "And I used to get up at 6." or I used to get up at 7, but the guy in New York is getting up at 5.
Mm.
So I have to get up before them. No matter where you're at, there's somebody that's getting up early and they're ready to outwork you. They're putting in the work, they're putting in the time. And their expectations are more realistic because of the work that they're putting in.
Yes.
So the more work you put in, the more realistic the expectations will be. The less work ethic, the more grandiose your expectations will be, because you want to find some way to get to the finish line without the way everybody else doing.
Yeah, you're trying to skip steps.
Yeah, you trying to take the cat that's hiding in the alley during the marathon instead of just running like everybody else.
Yeah.
Nah, and that's the thing that you learn on the road too, is that there there's no quick way to success. Now, I will admit some people have an elevator, but for the majority of us, we have to take the stairs.
Mm-hmm.
And so you manage expectations differently. And you see that a lot when, you have the trust fund kids or kids where it's a family business and they've come up. Chris, you and I talked about this, where, as we begin to be more and more successful, what are ways to still instill this work ethic in our kids? Because it's hard. I want to give my kids everything, but then I also need you to know how to manage it when I'm gone.
Mm.
And so I still want you to have the lessons there. And so, I've been around kids that, that they got that elevator to the top. And then by the time I got there from walking the stairs, they looking at me like, oh, can you answer this? Well, you've been up here for a minute. You should be able to answer. You got here about 6 floors ago. So it's there's greatness in the process. That's where a lot of your expectations come from, and how you learn to manage them is through the journey.
Mm-hmm.
So,
and that right there is something that I didn't learn till later too. That you need to enjoy the ride, because Adrian knows me, Dr. Atchison knows me, and y'all know I can tend to overthink just a little bit.
Yeah, just a little bit. Not a whole lot. It's not even like you can't even see it on the screen. Just a little bit.
Dang, see how y'all just took that and ran with it. Thank you. But no, I love it. But no, that's exactly right. And when you do that, like Adrian's saying, you're taking the stairs, but you're taking the stairs and you're learning so many different principles and values and things. Most of the time, I'll be honest, most of the times other people can't even see. They can't even see the progress. They're like, they check, because people watch you and they check in on you, and they'll be like, he ain't done. They don't know, like Adrian said, behind the scene things, but you do. So you need to be taking accountability of that. Those are as a hidden win. And sometimes don't share with nobody. Just keep it with you, and it's not for somebody all the time. And and that's some of the things that Adrian's talking about, like the trust fund baby and all these things. These other people, they don't have the luxury of having, and not. I guess this is on subject. Julio Chavez, the famous boxer. His son tried to be a boxer, right? But his dad put in that work to be as good as he is, and now everybody's kind of mad at his son because he's not as good as a boxer as he is. Yeah. But his dad even said in an interview, he said that he didn't put in the work. He didn't have to put in the same work as I did. So that right there let us know that his dad kind of knew the expectations. He's probably not going to be as great as boxer as me, because I had to grind out of the dirt. Versus you kind of grew up with your dad, and you got boxing lessons, and you didn't have that really like, if I don't make this, I'm not going to eat type mentality. Where he did,
and that's what it is across the board. Unfortunately, I mean, I think we've all seen it, right? You seen the clip of Richard Pryor's son bombing.
Oh yeah,
repeatedly, because the world put this perception on you that your dad, arguably, maybe even not, is the greatest comic to have ever stepped on a stage. Arguably, probably with Eddie Murphy, and to be honest, arguably with Kevin Hart right now. But your dad was the greatest. And so there was this expectation like, oh, well, his dad funny, he should be funny. Okay, well, here's the thing. your dad didn't live off of Richard Pryor money.
Yeah.
You did. So there's a difference between hitting those late comedy shows at 2 a.m. in the morning, 3 a.m. in the morning, polishing your material in all these different ways, constantly writing, constantly thinking, versus just going up there and because you carry the name, you guys need to be laughing.
And the other part of that is a lot of times it's not your expectation that you're living. You're
Oh
living
yeah, there you go.
expectation
Yeah,
of
you live in the world.
And that's a dangerous place to be as well. If you, I know you all have watched what is it, Hip Hop Atlanta Hip Hop, whatever that show is, where all these kids of these famous people, I think that's the name of the show.
Yeah, no, I know. Growing up hip hop.
Growing up hip hop.
I don't watch none of that stuff, but yeah.
but you see all these kids, they think they're supposed to be their parents.
Yes.
They're supposed to live the same lifestyle. Nothing is ever as good to you if it's handed to you.
Yeah.
Yourself. You have a different respect for it.
And
there's a gentleman that I met here. He'd be perfect for this topic, and this we'll have to bring this again and bring him. But he'll be perfect for this. At least we're talking about right now. That I met here, and he'd become one of my biggest donors for Head of Household. And he's a designer. He makes suits with his hands. Like fabulous creator. Like, this dude makes some really good material, makes some really good clothes. The dude's like 6'5", 3. He's huge. And there was this expectation of him growing up, being that big, being that size. Oh man, you should be playing football. You need to play football.
Yeah.
And he's like, I don't like to play football. I like to sew. and I'm not gay, married to a woman. I just like to create. This is just what I like to do. But he's like, it's hard because this expectation that's placed on you by just the world, by even your family, based on how you look. I should be doing this, but I don't have any interest in that. Completely different. So it's, can you imagine the unrealistic expectation if you put everything that you feel like God's called you to do aside to go do what everybody else is telling you to do, and you might even make it to the league, and you hate it. People wonder why these young kids, they spiral out of control, or these young actors, they go through all these little drug binges to where they commit suicide or they end up passing away. Because, you're good at doing that, but maybe that's not what you were called to do.
Yeah.
And that's why you're miserable.
That is so true that we do need him on the show because he's an entrepreneur and he could have easily listened to the expectations of the world, which let's all be honest, we've all dibble dabbled in that too. We're not perfect, but the thing is to fight all that, right? Don't give in to it. That's the thing. We're all going to succumb to certain things. It's just not to and also stand firm in your expectations. Now, we've talked a lot about expectations, and one of the things that I want to drill home is to stand firm in them and affirm them themselves. If I'll tell you this. So I called, me and Dr. Action had a talk the other day, and I was talking about my true why, what I really wanted to do as far as serving the community I want to serve, and that's entrepreneurs and kind of like the life work balance, right? Because everybody's always telling me, man, Chris, you have such respectable kids. They're in advanced classes. They're athletic. They're all these things. And I never, and even Adrian, Christian talks like a little man already, but I tell you, up until last week, I didn't realize that I was an entrepreneur, a father. I know this is crazy. I was an entrepreneur, a father that's pushing his kids, pushing my wife, and then still trying to make all that work. You know what I mean? You kind of have this dream life you want to put together, and then, especially with me, I'm an overachiever. So if it's not perfect, I won't sometimes be able to recognize the things that we have accomplished. You know what I mean?
Right.
And I was thinking I could actually teach that type of focus, hone on that, and really teach that type of work-life balance type of mentality. And I was thinking, man, it was like a light bulb that clicked. You know what I mean? And I'm. Oh, go ahead, Jim.
Oh, I was just gonna say that's real. I mean,
Yeah.
I think anybody that ventures down, into entrepreneurship and that has a family or wants to have a family, you're gonna come across that, and expectations have to be, they have to be real. They have to be manageable because it's no longer about you.
No.
I have this expectation on myself, and I specifically say on myself because I'm a little bit more militant with it. But when I wake up every day, I expect to win.
Hmm.
Period. My attitude is by any means necessary.
Malcolm.
So for me, there's not one option, one way. I explore everything.
Hmm.
You've heard me say before. I think my greatest fear is not even my greatest fear. I would say wouldn't even be dying, but my greatest fear would be to have died and to stand in front of God and to find out that I only used this much of what He gave me.
What he gave you.
That just terrifies me
Mhm.
to have lived this life that you blessed me to live, at length, hopefully, and
Hmm.
then to finally stand before you and have Him say, "Welcome home. I'm glad you're here. But can I show you something real quick? I'm glad
Can
you're
I tell you
here.
one thing?
Yeah, yeah. Can't send you back because that ain't how it works. But you accomplished this much." I'm like, I know I killed it, right? You did. Let me show you what I had for you.
Ooh.
Let me show you what I had for you. That's one thing that it sits it's staple to the front of my mind of if this is going great and I'm successful at this, and my expectation is this, what else do you have for me?
Hmm.
It's to not put God in a box, thus not putting myself in a box.
Hmm.
So my expectations are broad because I plan to fully walk in whatever it is He calls me to do, no matter what direction He calls me to walk in.
Hmm.
So
Man, see, this type of show I like. You
Because I
got
think
us
even
thinking.
if you don't give it all, I think you should lead with the expectation that you would,
yeah,
that you would give everything. And you may
Hmm.
yeah,
not ever have to give everything, but if you
nah,
lead with the expectation that you would do it,
yeah.
If it came down to it.
yeah.
I may not go down swinging, but I'm prepared to.
Hmm.
Yeah.
But I'm gonna go out swinging.
Man,
Yeah.
this has been a really great show. And
Absolutely.
we
We'll
we
definitely have a
love
part two
just
to this.
yeah, we will. And like I said, we had some cool guests lined up for tonight, and they didn't make it. And they love this topic too, so we're gonna have them back on too. But like I said, man, we always have more than enough knowledge, real world experience to kind of put so much value into our show. And I just want to say thank you guys for just always being here consistently, because that's what it's all about at the end of the day. We can have huge expectations, low expectations, and like Dr. Atchison, or I think it was Adrian, was talking about the YouTubers. All they did was set a low expectations and then be really
And then be
consistent.
consistent. Just
Just
really consistent.
I'm telling these. I mean, you see some of these videos. They not they they didn't plan that out at all. But now they probably do, because they probably have a
Yep.
staff and people telling them the direction. But in the beginning, and that's kind of the lightheartedness of it. This is, and it's kind of like what we want to bring home to you guys is that why should be totally incorporated with your expectations, right? And they could be huge, like Adrian said, world changing wise. But let's get back down to what you have available, the tools, the resources you have available to you, and what you can knock out, like Dr. Action said today, right?
Yep.
What can we get down today? And Adrian said, wake up with a winning. I'm gonna win today attitude. I'm gonna do that every day. He texted me an affirmation a week ago or something.
Because a week ago.
Yeah, it was a week ago.
I'm gonna start sending you more of them. But yeah,
See, and behind the scenes, that's the type of stuff
yeah.
we have to do too. We're not above anybody else. We got to be doing this stuff
Nope.
and steady evolving, not even changing anymore. We need to evolve into a whole new creature. But it starts with those expectations because, like I said, if the world gets hold of your expectations, you believe that mess, you're not going to make it. You're not going to
Yeah.
make it. I'm telling you, because they'll spit you out, and then they'll set an expectation, and you don't hit that expectation, and they tell, see, you shouldn't even done that. You shouldn't even tried that. You should look. They'll condemn you for doing it. So,
Right.
man, all this knowledge and wisdom, I really appreciate this, guys. Y'all coming on every week. We're gonna continue to kill it. Continue to be here every week at 7. Tell your friends, comment, ask questions. We'll answer any question you have dealing with entrepreneurs, and then even life. We may even expand this to life as well because first of all, we always go into it anyway because they're
Right. Well,
inseparable.
it's part of it,
Yeah,
and
it's
yeah,
part of it.
it's yeah,
In a,
it's
in a, in
inevitable.
a, in a even taking care of your life in a sense is taking care of your business, right?
Yeah.
Taking care of your life business, not necessarily your entrepreneur business, but taking care of business, period. Even when you have a job and you don't take care of your bills and things, you're taking care. I mean, you take care of them. You're taking care of your business, So I think we will. I mean, nobody's doing that. Let's get
No,
it.
and I don't think anybody's having the conversation that we're going to be having next week. Next week's topic is we're going to touch on what it really means to be a real entrepreneur.
Oh, I love
We are going to address MLMs,
it.
side hustles to legitimate businesses, and 9 to 5 and small business balance. We are
Oh,
going to touch everything.
well, you know what? What if we did that as a 3 part? Because I know the MLM alone can go. Because I know
Yeah.
all three of us have dibble dabbled in the
Yeah.
MLM, and I'm not going to
Yeah.
get too much in it. But what if we actually did this? What if we invited maybe 2 or 3 guests who are part of MLM, and we don't necessarily have to tell what MLM they are. We can kind of say company 1, company 2, company 3, and kind of, what if we dibble dabbled in that and kind of see how it goes there? Get some the
We can
business
try.
mind.
I don't want to make. I want to make sure we're not gonna put nobody on a firing range, but we
Hey,
can.
the business minds
We can
versus
try.
this can be our first verse, a versus battle, right? The business minds versus the MLMs, right?
Okay.
Oh my gosh.
I think that could be fun. We'll see what we can pull up because I know a lot of them. We know a lot of them, and we're
Yeah.
not downing them in any way. We're just they're just we'll touch on it because I know we
I
all
just
have
want you to get your definition correct. That's all.
we have valid points that come from
Absolutely.
experience. But no, we're the business minds. Come to the businessminds.com. Come out, check out our campus. We got Dr. Ashton coming with her masterclass. Mine is already out. The developthemindset.com. It's a free masterclass on develop your own business step by step. And we got Adrian's coming with nonprofit. He's going to help you guys with the heart bleeders, or what do you call it, the bleeding hearts. He's going to help you guys run your nonprofit like a business, which you all need to. So we got these coming, and we just want to, guys, spread the word, comment, join us every week at 7. You guys got some final thoughts?
Hey, I want to encourage you all. I don't know if you all have seen One Night in Miami. Have you all seen that?
Oh,
Uh-uh.
I have. I've seen it twice.
Talk about expectations of 4 great men who were trying to
Yes.
accomplish pretty much the same thing from 4 different
Ooh.
groups, were even disappointed with each other's expectations.
Oh
They were
yes,
all working
absolutely.
for a common goal. It's a great example of what we've talked about tonight. So if you haven't
Yeah.
seen it, it's Malcolm X,
Mark,
Muhammad Ali,
Muhammad
Muhammad,
Ali,
Sam Cooke,
Sam
Sam
Cook.
Cooke,
and Jim Brown.
Jim
Oh,
Brown,
Jimbo.
and
Hey,
how they were
Yeah.
all trying to accomplish the same thing.
But it
Uh,
had different
it
ways
was
of getting there,
had different ways of getting there.
oh
different
wow.
platforms.
Hmm.
We're definitely going to have to recommend that. And
Yeah, for
also,
sure.
Doc, the director of that,
Regina King.
Regina King, man, you talk about overcoming and all the things she has her little hands into. I mean, it's yeah. So she came from the director of that is a really. I see how she can make movies like that.
And
That are
she,
powerful.
interestingly, that you brought her up. she started out many, many years ago, if you all followed her career. But she didn't get
Hmm.
famous till like about, what, 5 years ago, 6 years
Mm-hmm.
ago?
Yeah.
And most famous with this movie because a lot of people had never heard of Regina King,
Not
although
with
she
Boys in the
started her
Hood, not with
career
Poetic
years and years
Justice.
ago.
Yeah,
She was
not
not an
with.
overnight success as they claim.
No, and have you ever heard of the Boondocks?
Hmm.
She does the
She
voices.
plays both of the she plays the voice of the two little boys in the
I don't watch
Boondocks.
that show, but it's
That's I'm
okay.
like, what? How did she do that? Oh well, when you do check it out, it's tight. But no, we appreciate you guys. Until next week, the business minds are out.